harsh fluorescent lights of mining station Chrono 7 cast long shadows across the maintenance corridors as Marcus Kane dragged his heavy toolkit through the narrow passages. His engineering uniform, standard-issue gray coveralls, stuck to his broad shoulders with perspiration from the station's perpetually broken climate control system.
At 32.
Marcus had seen enough remote outposts to know that Chrono 7 was barely holding together with spare parts and prayers. Another day? Another dying reactor? He muttered, checking his work order on the flickering display pad. The assignment seemed routine enough. Investigate power fluctuations in Sector 12. What bothered him was the timing. 3 similar incidents had occurred across different human colonies in the past month, all involving mysterious system failures that defied conventional explanation. As he rounded the corner into the maintenance bay, Marcus spotted a figure hunched over an access panel. The alien wore the same yellow maintenance jumpsuit that all the station's custodial staff used, complete with a hood pulled low over their features. From this distance, Marcus could only make out slender hands working with surprising precision. On the complex circuitry, "Hey there," Marcus called out, setting down his toolkit with a metallic clang. "I'm here about the power grid issues. You working on the same problem?" The figure paused without turning around. "Yes," came a muffled reply through the hood's fabric. "Primary conduits show irregular energy patterns." Marcus nodded, impressed despite himself. Most of the alien janitors he'd encountered could barely manage basic cleaning protocols, let alone diagnose electrical problems. This one clearly had some technical knowledge. Even if their voice carried that typical hesitant quality he'd come to associate with the station's lower-tier workers. "Mind if I take a look?" Marcus approached the access panel, kneeling beside the hooded figure. As he leaned closer to examine the exposed wiring, he caught an unexpected scent, something floral and distinctly feminine that cut through the usual metallic temps of the station's recycled air. The alien's hands, he noticed, now were remarkably elegant. Long fingers moved with the confidence of someone who truly understood the systems they were manipulating. The skin had a subtle, iridescent quality that seemed to shift color in the harsh lighting. "You've isolated the problem area," Marcus observed, "studying the diagnostic readings. It's actually pretty sophisticated work." "I learned quickly," came the soft response. Something in that voice made Marcus pause. Beneath the muffled quality of the hood, he detected an intelligence that seemed at odds with the menial uniform. But before he could pursue the thought further, a violent energy surge shot through the panel, sending sparks cascading across both of them. The alien jerked backward with a startled gasp. And in that sudden movement, the hood fell away completely. Marcus felt his breath catch in his throat. Instead of the rough-featured alien maintenance worker he'd expected, found himself staring at the most strikingly beautiful woman he'd ever encountered. Her skin held a soft, pearl-like luminescence that seemed to glow from within, cascading. Waves of silver-blue hair framed features that were both exotic and achingly familiar. High cheekbones, full lips, and eyes the color of deep ocean water that regarded him with unmistakable intelligence. The yellow jumpsuit, which had seemed merely functional moments before, now revealed curves that made Marcus's pulse quicken. The front zipper had been pulled down just enough to show the graceful line of her throat and hint at the feminine form beneath. I thought you were just... Marcus stammered, completely off balance. "Just another alien janitor?" She finished, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Her voice, no longer muffled, carried melodic tones with an accent he couldn't place. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to assume... Marcus ran a hand through his dark hair, feeling heat rise in his cheeks. She tilted her head slightly, studying him with those remarkable eyes. "And what did you assume, Marcus Kane?" The fact that she knew his name sent a chill down his spine. "How do you know who I am?" Instead of answering directly, she rose gracefully to her feet. The movement caused her hair to catch the overhead lighting like liquid mercury. Marcus found himself transfixed by the way she moved, fluid and confident, nothing like this hesitant maintenance worker he'd first encountered. "My name is Zara Veltar," she said, extending one of those elegant hands toward him. "I think we need to talk." Marcus took her hand, noting how perfectly it fit in his own despite the obvious differences in their species. Her skin was warm and incredibly soft, sending an unexpected jolt of attraction through him that he struggled to suppress. "Talk about what exactly?" he managed, reluctantly releasing her hand. Zara glanced around the maintenance bay, then moved closer to him. Close enough that he could smell that intoxicating floral scent again, could see the way her eyes seemed to hold flecks of starlight in their depths. "About why someone doesn't want us to fix these power systems," she said quietly. "And about why you were specifically requested for this assignment." The revelation hit Marcus like a physical blow. He stepped back, his engineering mind racing through the implications of what Zara had just revealed. The tool in his hand suddenly felt heavier as he processed her words. "Specifically requested?" Marcus repeated, his voice tight with suspicion. "I go where the work orders send me. Nothing more complicated than that." Zara moved past him to the main control console, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface with practiced ease. The display responded to her touch in ways Marcus had never seen before, revealing system diagnostics that should have been restricted to senior engineering staff. "The work order came through unofficial channels," she explained, pulling up data streams that made Marcus's eyes widen. "Someone wanted you here, on this station, at exactly this time." Marcus watched in growing amazement as Zara manipulated the station's systems with casual expertise. This was no maintenance worker. This was someone with high-level technical clearance and intimate knowledge of human computer systems. "Who are you really?" he asked, moving to stand beside her at the console. The proximity was intoxicating, even focused on the technical readouts. Marcus found himself acutely aware of the way Zara's silver-blue hair fell across her shoulders, how the station's lighting seemed to make her iridescent skin glow from within. When she turned to look at him, their faces were only inches apart. "I'm someone who's been tracking a pattern of sabotage across human colonies," Zara said softly. "Someone who believes these aren't random equipment failures." Her breath was warm against his face, and Marcus felt his pulse quicken despite the seriousness of her words. "Sabotage. That's a hell of an accusation. Look at this." Zara turned back to the console, pulling up a three-dimensional map of human space. Red markers indicated locations where similar power failures had occurred. 17 colonies, all within the past 6 months, all involving the same type of energy cascade failure. Marcus studied the pattern, his engineering background helping him see what she was pointing toward. The failures weren't random. They formed a deliberate progression toward the core human worlds. "Someone's testing our defenses," he realized. "Preparing for something bigger," Zara agreed. She turned to face him fully, and Marcus saw worry flicker in those ocean-deep eyes. "The question is, are you part of it, or are you another target?" Accusations stung, but Marcus recognized the logic behind it. "If I were part of some conspiracy, why would I be asking you all these questions?" A small smile tugged at Zara's lips. "Perhaps because you're very good at your job?" Despite everything, Marcus found himself smiling back. "And perhaps because you're the most intriguing maintenance worker I've ever met." The moment stretched. Between them, charged with possibility and danger in equal measure. Then Zara's expression grew serious again. "There's something else," she said, moving to another access panel. "These power failures, they're not just sabotage. Someone's been collecting data from each affected system." Marcus joined her there, shoulders brushing as they worked side by side to examine the concealed monitoring equipment she'd discovered. The brief contact sent electricity through him that had nothing to do with the station's failing power grid. "Data about what?" he asked, trying to focus on the technical aspects rather than the way Zara's jumpsuit had shifted to reveal more of her elegant throat. "Human engineering capabilities, response times, repair procedures." Zara's fingers worked with mesmerizing precision as she carefully extracted the hidden devices. "Someone's learning how we think, how we solve problems." The implications were staggering. Marcus felt his world shift as he realized the scope of what they were dealing with. This isn't just about power failures. This is intelligence gathering. On a massive scale, Zara confirmed. She straightened up, fixing him with those remarkable eyes. The question is, what are they preparing for? Before Marcus could respond, the station's main power grid fluctuated dramatically. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing the maintenance bay in pulsing red illumination. In the crimson glow, Zara looked even more otherworldly and beautiful. "That's not part of the original problem," Marcus said, checking his diagnostic equipment. "No," Zara agreed grimly. "Someone knows we're here." They worked in urgent silence for several minutes, racing to stabilize the power systems before the station's life support failed completely. Marcus found himself constantly aware of Zara beside him, the grace with which she moved, the quiet competence with which she handled equipment that should have been completely foreign to her species. "You're not really alien maintenance staff, are you?" he said, as they managed to restore partial power. Zara paused in her work, meeting his gaze directly. "Would it matter if I were?" The question hung in the air between them, loaded with implications that went far beyond their current crisis. Marcus realized that somewhere in the past hour, his attraction to this mysterious woman had deepened into something more complex and potentially dangerous. "It would matter," he said honestly, "but probably not in the way you'd expect." Their eyes held for a long moment, and Marcus saw something shift in Zara's expression, a softening, a decision being made. "My real name is Zara Veltar," she said quietly, "and I'm not here by accident." Marcus Kane. The emergency lighting cast dancing shadows across Zara's face as she moved closer to Marcus, her expression serious yet tinged with something that made his pulse race. The station's systems hummed ominously around them, but all of Marcus's attention focused on the woman before him. "I'm an operative with the Galactic Intelligence Consortium," Zara said, her voice steady despite the gravity of her confession. "I've been tracking this sabotage network for months." Marcus felt the ground shift beneath his understanding of everything that had happened. Galactic Intelligence? That's a joint human-alien organization. They said it was just a rumor. "Real and very necessary," Zara replied. She reached into her jumpsuit and withdrew a small device that projected her official credentials into the air between them. The holographic display showed her rank, clearance level, and a photo that confirmed everything she was telling him. "You're a federal agent," Marcus breathed, studying the information floating before him. "Senior investigative operative, actually." Zara's smile held a hint of pride. One of only 12 non-humans to achieve that rank. Marcus ran his hands through his hair, trying to process this revelation. "So when you said someone specifically requested me for this assignment, ... I did," Zara admitted. "I've been reviewing engineering personnel files for weeks, looking for someone with the right combination of technical expertise and security clearance. Your record stood out." The admission should have made him angry, Marcus realized. Instead, he found himself oddly flattered. "My record." Zara moved to the main console, pulling up files that made Marcus's eyes widen. His complete service history, psychological evaluations, even personal details about his family and relationships. 15 years of flawless service, expertise in power systems and defense networks, and most importantly, Zara turned to face him directly. No political connections or financial vulnerabilities that could be exploited. "You investigated me," Marcus said, though there was no accusation in his voice. "Thoroughly," Zara confirmed. "I needed someone I could trust completely." The word trust hung in the air between them. Marcus realized that despite everything, the deception, the hidden identity, the dangerous situation they found themselves in, he did trust this remarkable woman. More than that, he was drawn to her in ways that defied professional logic. "So what now?" he asked, moving closer to her at the console. "Now we figure out who's behind this before they move to the next phase," Zara said, but her attention seemed divided between the technical displays and Marcus himself. The proximity was intoxicating. Marcus could see the way Zara's breathing had quickened, could smell that fascinating floral scent that seemed to be her natural perfume. When she turned to point out something on the display, their bodies nearly touched. "These energy signatures," she said, though her voice had grown softer. "They don't match any known human or registered alien technology." Marcus leaned in to study the data, acutely aware of Zara beside him. Her hair brushed against his arm, sending electricity through. His nervous system, that had nothing to do with the station's power grid. Unknown technology could mean unregistered species, he said, trying to focus on the professional implications rather than the way Zara's jumpsuit had shifted to reveal more of her luminescent skin. Or it could mean someone's developed something entirely new, Zara replied. She turned to face him directly, and suddenly they were close enough that Marcus could see his reflection in her ocean-deep eyes. Zara, he began, not entirely sure what he wanted to say. I know this complicates things, she said quietly. Professional protocols, species boundaries, the fact that I've been less than honest about who I am. Marcus reached out, gently brushing a strand of silver blue hair from her face. Her skin was impossibly soft beneath his fingers, warm and somehow electric. Maybe it does complicate things, he said. But right now I'm finding it hard to care about protocols. Zara's breath caught, slightly at his touch. Marcus. Before either of them could say more, the station's alarm systems erupted in a cacophony of warning signals. Emergency blast doors began sealing throughout the facility, and the lights flickered ominously. They know we're here, Zara said, immediately. Shifting back into professional mode, despite the charged moment they'd just shared. Marcus felt his own training kick in. But he couldn't entirely suppress his awareness of the woman beside him. Even in crisis mode, Zara moved with a fluid grace that captured his attention. We need to get to the central command center, she said, checking her concealed weapons. If we can access the main security systems, we might be able to identify. Who's behind this? That's 3 levels up and through 2 security checkpoints, Marcus pointed out. Zara smiled, and for the first time, Marcus saw something predatory in her expression. Did I mention that infiltration is one of my specialties? As they prepared to leave the maintenance bay, Marcus realized that everything about his life was about to change. The woman beside him represented not just professional partnership, but possibilities he'd never imagined. Alien or human, agent or maintenance worker, Zara Veltar had awakened something in him that went far beyond mere attraction. Ready? She asked, checking her equipment one final time. Marcus shouldered his toolkit, which suddenly seemed inadequate for what they were facing. With you? I think I'm ready for anything. Their eyes met one more time before they stepped into the corridor, and Marcus saw his own anticipation reflected in Zara's gaze. The journey through Chrono 7's maintenance tunnels proved both treacherous and illuminating. Zara moved through the narrow passages with the fluid confidence of someone who had memorized every blueprint. While Marcus found himself constantly amazed by her capabilities, she had produced specialized equipment from hidden compartments in her jumpsuit, tools that definitely didn't belong to any maintenance worker. Security patrol in 30 seconds, Zara whispered, pressing herself against Marcus in the confined space of a ventilation shaft. Her body fit perfectly against his, and he struggled to focus on their mission rather than the way her warmth seemed to seep through their clothing. How can you possibly know that? Marcus breathed against her ear. Zara held up a small device that displayed patrol patterns in real time. Station security updates every few minutes through the maintenance network. I've been monitoring there. Communications since I arrived. Her hair smelled like starlight and adventure, Marcus thought, then forced himself to concentrate as footsteps echoed past their hiding spot. When the danger passed, neither of them moved immediately, savoring the intimate closeness their situation demanded. Clear, Zara eventually whispered, but her voice had grown husky with awareness of their proximity. They emerged from the ventilation system into a service corridor near the command center. Here, Zara's true expertise became evident as she disabled security sensors with casual efficiency and bypassed locked doors as if they were simple mechanical puzzles. Remind me never to trust station security again, Marcus muttered as she opened their third, supposedly impregnable barrier. Most security systems are designed to keep people out, Zara explained, her fingers dancing over a complex lock mechanism. But if you understand the engineering principles behind them, they become much simpler. Marcus watched her work with growing admiration. Every movement was precise and purposeful, yet there was something almost artistic about the way she approached each challenge. when she glanced back at him with a triumphant smile after opening the final door. He felt his heart skip several beats. The command center itself was a marvel of human engineering. Banks of monitors, displaying everything from life support status to external communications, but it was also eerily deserted for such a critical location. "Where is everyone?" Marcus asked, settling at one of the engineering workstations. "Evacuated 20 minutes ago due to a mysterious atmospheric leak in this section," Zara replied, accessing the central security terminal with disturbing ease. "Let me guess. A leak that doesn't actually exist? Very good, Engineer Kane." Zara's smile was both approving and somehow intimate. "You're learning to think like an operative."
Hi.
As they worked side by side to crack the station's central systems, Marcus became increasingly aware of Zara in ways that had nothing to do with their mission. The way she bit her lower lip when concentrating, how her eyes lit up when she solved a particularly challenging puzzle, the unconscious grace with which she moved even while seated at a computer terminal. "There," she said suddenly, her voice tight with excitement. "I've found the source of the sabotage signals." Marcus leaned over to see her screen, bringing them closer together once again. The data showed a hidden transmitter embedded deep within the station's main computer core, hardware that definitely hadn't been part of the original specifications. "Someone's been collecting information about everything that happens on this station," he realized. "Every repair, every security protocol, every engineering decision, and transmitting it all to ... Zara pulled up the transmission logs, her expression growing grim. "Coordinates that don't correspond to any registered colony or facility." "4?" Marcus could respond, the command center's main doors sealed with a pneumatic hiss that spoke of finality. Emergency lighting activated, bathing everything in pulsing red illumination that made Zara's iridescent skin seem to glow from within. "We've been locked in," Marcus said, though he found that the prospect of being trapped with Zara wasn't entirely unwelcome. "Not locked in," Zara corrected, checking her tactical display. "Contained. Whoever's behind this wants us alive, at least for now." A new voice filled the command center through the communication system, human, but with an accent Marcus couldn't place. "Very impressive, Operative Veltar. Your reputation for resourcefulness is well-deserved." Zara's entire posture shifted, becoming somehow more dangerous despite her outward calm. "Show yourself, Commodore Thorne," Commodore Marcus whispered. "Rogue military officer," Zara explained quietly. "Supposedly died in a transport accident. 2 years ago?" The main view screen activated, showing a middle-aged human male in an elaborate uniform that Marcus didn't recognize. Behind him, alien figures moved in the shadows, species he couldn't identify. "Death can be quite liberating," Thorne said with a cold smile. "It allows one to pursue projects that the bureaucrats back on Earth would never approve." "What kind of projects?" Zara demanded, though Marcus could see her subtly checking her concealed weapons. "The kind that ensure humanity's survival when the real threats emerge," Thorne replied. "Your little intelligence consortium is playing children's games while genuine dangers mass in the outer systems." Marcus felt Zara tense beside him as the implications became clear. "You're building an unauthorized defense network," she said. "I'm building the only defense network that matters," Thorne corrected. "One that won't be hampered by political niceties or species sensitivities." The transmission cut out, leaving Marcus and Zara alone in the pulsing red emergency lighting. Silence stretched between them, heavy with the gravity of what they'd discovered. "How do we stop him?" Marcus asked. Instead of answering immediately, Zara moved closer to him, her hand finding his in the dim light. "I need you to know something, Marcus. Whatever happens next, meeting you wasn't part of any plan or mission." Their fingers intertwined, naturally, and Marcus felt the last of his resistance to this impossible attraction crumble completely. The command center's emergency systems cast everything in crimson shadows as Marcus and Zara worked desperately to override the security lockdown. Their fingers flew across multiple control panels, racing against time as Commodore Thorne's countdown echoed through the station's communication system. 60 seconds until final data transmission," Thorne's voice announced. "Your government will have everything they need to understand just how vulnerable their precious colonies really are." Zara's hands moved with mechanical precision across the security interface, but Marcus could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her jaw tightened with concentration. Even under extreme pressure, she remained the most captivating woman he'd ever encountered. "I can isolate the transmission array," Marcus called out from the engineering station. "But I need you to maintain the connection for 30 more seconds." "Done," Zara replied without hesitation, though Marcus could see her display showing multiple system failures cascading through her controls as the seconds ticked away. Marcus found himself stealing glances at his extraordinary partner. Her silver blue hair had come partially loose from its practical style, framing her face with ethereal strands that caught the emergency lighting. Even focused entirely on their desperate mission, she moved with that fluid grace that had first caught his attention in the maintenance bay. 20 seconds, Thorne's voice continued remorselessly. Zara's station sparked suddenly, sending a shower of electrical discharge across her hands and arms. She cried out more in surprise than pain, but didn't release her hold on the controls. "Zara." Marcus abandoned his own station instantly, moving to her side. "I'm fine," she insisted, though he could see the electrical burns on her luminescent skin. "Keep working." Instead, Marcus covered her hands with his own, helping her maintain pressure on the failing controls. The contacts sent electricity through, both of them that had nothing to do with the damaged systems, and for a moment their eyes met in the pulsing red light. 10 seconds. Marcus made a decision that was part desperation, part inspiration, and part the overwhelming need to protect the woman beside him. Instead of trying to stop the transmission, he reversed the data flow, sending a feedback pulse back through Thorne's network. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Every screen in the command center flared brilliant white before going dark. The station's power grid stabilized for the first time in hours, and the emergency lighting gave way to normal illumination. "Did we stop it?" Zara asked, though her attention seemed divided between their mission and Marcus himself. "Better than that," Marcus replied, checking his engineering displays. "We traced the signal back to its source. Thorne's base is in the Kepler system, and his entire network just went offline." Zara smiled with genuine delight, and Marcus felt his heart do things that defied all rational explanation. But before either of them could say more, the command center's main doors opened with a pneumatic hiss. Instead of security personnel or Thorne's agents, a mixed group of human and alien authorities entered. Galactic intelligence reinforcements that Zara had apparently summoned before their final confrontation. Operative Veltar, the lead agent, acknowledged, with professional respect, "Excellent work." As the formal debriefings began, Marcus found himself watching Zara transition back into her official role. She was magnificent in either capacity. The mysterious maintenance worker who had first caught his attention, or the brilliant intelligence operative who had just helped prevent a major interstellar incident. Hours later, after statements had been recorded and preliminary reports filed, Marcus and Zara finally found themselves alone again. Station had returned to normal operations, but nothing felt quite the same. "So what happens now?" Marcus asked, as they stood together in the observation lounge, watching stars wheel slowly past the massive windows. Zara was quiet for a long moment, her profile ethereal in the starlight. "Officially, you return to your engineering duties, and I move on to the next assignment. And unofficially." She turned to face him directly. Marcus saw vulnerability in those ocean-deep eyes alongside the strength he'd come to admire. "Unofficially, I find myself hoping that a certain human engineer might be interested in occasional consultations with galactic intelligence." Stepped closer, drawn by the same magnetic attraction that had captured him from their first moment together. "That would depend on whether a certain alien operative might be interested in showing him more of the galaxy." Zara's smile was radiant. "I think that could be arranged." When their lips met, it felt like the completion of something that had begun the moment she'd removed her hood in the maintenance bay. The kiss was gentle at first, then deepened with the passion that had been building between them throughout their dangerous adventure. Marcus, Zara whispered against his lips, her arms encircling his neck. "I know this is complicated," he replied, holding her close. "Different species, different careers, different worlds. The most worthwhile things usually are," Zara said softly. As they stood together in the starlight, Marcus realized that his life had fundamentally changed. The universe had become a much larger, more wondrous place, not just because of the adventure they'd shared, but because of the extraordinary woman who had chosen to share it with him. "Ready for the next adventure?" Zara asked, her eyes sparkling with mischief and promise. Marcus pulled her closer, marveling at how perfectly she fit in his arms. "With you, I'm ready for anything the galaxy can throw at us." Their future stretched. Before them, like the star field beyond the windows, vast, unknown, and filled with infinite possibilities,